Hi everyone! I finished my associate's degree just a couple weeks ago and I wanted to talk to you about my experience. When I was in high school, not a lot of people I knew were going to community college, and community college wasn't really talked about that much. They are trying to push more options in high school now. At my high school, they were much more focused on telling you about the workforce options you had or going to university, and there wasn't really any talk about community college. And I'm not sure why, and there's still a lot of stigma about community college. A lot of people I told when I was like, oh, I'm starting community college in the fall, or I'm in community college, they're like, oh, well, there's nothing wrong with that. And no, there isn't. It's just as much of a degree as anybody else's degree. I'm not sure why there's the stigma. I got this from adults as well as kids I went to school with. People just don't take community college seriously, I guess. But I can assure you I did do the work. Community college was a great choice for me because, well, firstly, financially, it's probably the smartest thing you can do. You can take as few classes or as many classes as you want at community college. You're not bound by some schedule or credit allowance that you have to meet. Community college is made for people who are working or parents or just going back to school for the first time. So there's all kinds of people in all different walks of life trying all different kinds of things. I was one of few kids in my community college experience who were coming fresh out of high school. Most people in my classes were adults who had gone off and done other things and then were coming back to do more school. So community college is not only an option for people who are working, it's an option for being fresh out of high school too. Community college is a great option for anybody going to school anywhere, but one particular person it's good for would be someone who doesn't really know what they want to do. My mom has said a lot that she wishes she would have just finished her general ed associate's degree, so when she went back to school she would have had a jumping off place, which I think is a great point. At least if you have a little school under your belt and you know, find out what you want to do later in life, you have a starting place. You're not starting from the very beginning. But in my position, that was not the case. I was going fresh out of high school, mainly because it was cheaper and it offered a lot of flexibility. I was working, I'm still working, but work was and is a huge priority for me. So going to school online and being able to choose if my classes were in person, asynchronous, or synchronous gave me so much flexibility with my schedule. And I was able to, like this last semester, I was able to travel for an entire month and was able to do all my schooling from the road, which is not something you could do if you were going to university. Now, you may feel like, I don't want to go to community college because I'm missing out on my college experience. And I don't think that's necessarily true. Of course, you're not going to get your typical dorm life experience, but if you take classes in person, you're still bound to meet all kinds of people and make all kinds of friendships. I think that can still be very beneficial even if you aren't staying in a dorm, and staying in a dorm is expensive anyways. So those are just some of the reasons why I think you should go to community college. So I just want to talk about my experience and why I've enjoyed it and how it's helped me and where I'm going next. So I enrolled in community college, like I said, right after high school. The admission process was kind of rough for me. I don't know if it was COVID. 2020 was a rough year. So it took a while for them to get back to me. Kind of had to play some phone tag, but eventually got through just fine. And the other thing that I would have to like complain about, I guess, is the counseling at my personal community college was pretty poor. I didn't really feel like they had my best interest. They didn't really want to feel like answering my questions. That's how I felt like. So I ended up not using a counselor for any of my choosing of classes. I would just sign up and do it all myself. I was given a long sheet for the degree that I had picked, all the credits that I needed to take, and what classes would satisfy those credits. And so it was even broken down by semester, and when I logged on to choose classes, I would just choose all the ones from that list, and then that's how I got to where I am today. First day of school was very overwhelming. It was really weird not to have some sort of structure. I took as many asynchronous classes as I possibly could. I didn't want to take any synchronous unless I absolutely had to, because the more asynchronous classes, the better for me personally. I'm pretty self-disciplined, so I was able to get my work done on time. The synchronous classes anyway just mean that you have to log on for Zoom, and oftentimes classes, what I found was they were just reading the same textbook or PowerPoint slides we were supposed to read anyways. Asynchronous was the way to go for me. It offered me so much flexibility. I could work pretty much whatever hours I wanted within reason, as long as I could have a few hours here and there throughout the week to get my schoolwork done. Because that's another thing about community college is, at least in my experience, the workload was pretty light. There was only maybe 4 classes throughout, I don't even know how many you take in the span of community college. There was only 4 classes that I felt like I was really like, wow, this class is really pushing me. 2 of those were math classes. No surprise there, I'm not good at math. But in general, I enjoyed all my classes. I had a whole slew of awesome professors, ones that would just go out of their way to reach out, like knowing COVID was going on, knowing we're asynchronous, knowing we're going to work, and some people have families and whatever. Often they were very forgiving because of all those factors, and so I found the experience to be overwhelmingly positive. I still can't not get over how flexible it is. Like, if you're a person who likes to travel or have free time or like make time for your hobbies, like all of that, like it was just so nice to be able to work all around that. So much so that I was able to go on vacation for an entire month and it was no big deal because I was online, so I could just do my schoolwork from anywhere. I can't compare too much to universities because, well, I haven't been, but I experienced like a whole variety of classes to choose from, professors to choose from within those classes. There was only one time I think I was really put in a corner for like what my class schedule had to look like. There was a lot of variety there. Like, for example, even if I had to take like an English class, there were like 8 different English classes I could choose from, like survey of women's literature, survey of African American literature, or just more general English classes or a writing class, and those would all satisfy the English credit. And the same thing went for like science and history. It'd be a history credit, but there was all types of history I could take, and that was a way that I was satisfying a credit but could still pick something that I was personally interested in. And I found a few gems of classes. Culture and geography was some of my favorite classes I took my entire associate's degree experience. Overall, it was a positive experience. I loved how much I was able to work around and travel around my school schedule. It was perfect for me. I actually completed my degree while I was in Colorado on like a random Wednesday night. So yeah, it's just offered me a lot of flexibility, and I think it'll offer you a lot of flexibility too if you're at all like me. The college experience never really enticed me anyways. Like, dorm life never really sounded like something that I would personally enjoy, and so community college has been a great way to bridge that gap in between before having to go to university, and it's a much cheaper option anyways. So yeah, I graduated just a couple weeks ago. The official graduation ceremony was today. I applied for graduation in the sense that I wanted to finish, but I did not attend the ceremony. Kind of ironic I'm filming this video today. So I want to be a teacher, so I think my degree was education or elementary education, something like that. But I really only took one education course while at my community college, and then once I move on to my university, I'll be taking much more degree specific classes, which I'm really looking forward to. The one that I had at my community college was probably my favorite class that I took while I was in my community college. So I finished my application for university today. Yeah, I'm really hoping I can still have as flexible a schedule and go online because that's what I've been spoiled to up to this point. I'm going for elementary education and I want to get my master's degree. I'm excited for what's to come. If you already know what you want to do, thinking about it in terms of like your end goal, it's a really motivating way to get through school sometimes when you're in like finals week and stuff like that. It'd be really motivating to think about what's at the finish line. But anyways, yeah, that's all of my thoughts on community college. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. I couldn't think of everything, but I tried to think of like the main things that made me want to go and that made me so happy with it, and I hope that I can bestow that knowledge onto you and make you feel like community college does not need like the stigma around it that it has, especially like I said, if you don't know what you want to do or if you're a working student, if you have other priorities going on. It's just an excellent option. So I hope you consider it in the very least, and maybe don't make comments like, well, there's nothing wrong with that to people when they tell you they're going to community college, because everyone has a different path. So yeah, hope you enjoyed, hope you learned something. Even if you don't go to community college, you know, be a little nice to people who do. And I will see you guys next week.